Russell's contract, did you consider waiting to see him play before you gave him the contract extension? And then why did you go ahead?
Yeah, I mean, we considered everything, Mike. I mean, we just wanted to get ahead of the contract cycle. We had saw how Russ was, in the offseason and training camp, felt really good about Russ. We feel really good about Russ. Just really wanted to get ahead of it. We didn't want a lot of distraction during the season. We feel really good about it. I feel good about that deal. I feel like it will hold up. I feel good about Russ.
I'm not really surprised that the guy responsible for negotiating that contract and giving all of the Walmart money to Russell Wilson at a time when he's yet to do anything to show that he deserves it and has created a scenario where, and I look at it this way. He's saying what he's got to say. George Paton, GM of the Broncos. He's saying what he has to say, Peter. If we would attach him to a polygraph or inject sodium pentothal into his veins and ask him, would you give that contract right now to Russell Wilson that you gave to him on August 31, the answer would be no, I wouldn't. And we all know that. I'd wait. The hell with the quarterback contract cycle and getting ahead of the curve. I'd wait to give him that contract. I wouldn't give him that contract based upon what I've seen through the first 7 weeks of the season.
That was, and again, I like George Paton. I respect George Paton. I think George Paton is very good at his job. That's the most meaningless soundbite of the 2022 season. Meaningless. Absolutely, totally meaningless. Do you think even if George Paton had to be dragged kicking and screaming to address the press after what we've seen with Russell Wilson in the first 6 weeks, his first 6 games, first 7 weeks of this season, do you think that he was going to say anything other than Russell Wilson's our guy, we love him, I'm happy we did the contract, blah, 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 blah. Now, Mike, there's a reason why they did that contract at the time. And I think it had the Walmart fingerprints on it. Because in business, you have to know that you have to try to predict the future. And whatever the Russell Wilson, however you calculate what his contract really is worth, let's just say it's $46 million a year. Or you pick out any number if you want to add the existing time to it and divide it by 7 instead of 5 or whatever it is. Whatever. Everybody in that organization knew that with Joe Burrow, with Lamar Jackson, with Justin Herbert coming, and who knows when they're going to come, or, in the negotiating season of 2023. No one knows. Quarterback prices never go down. Ever. And just as Joe Flacco, no one thought that Joe Flacco was the best quarterback in football a decade ago, and when he got $20.1 million a year and became the highest paid quarterback, highest paid player in NFL history. If you waited a year for Russell Wilson, obviously you had no idea that he was going to be playing like this. None. Zero. I don't think John Schneider and Pete Carroll thought he would be playing like this. So, to me, it's a classic second guess. And I understand it's going to wound this franchise going forward if Russell Wilson doesn't recover. But I think it's pretty logical why the Broncos did what they did.
And look, they had to do it once they traded for him. They had to give him a contract at some point, but even then, I think they would like to be able to say we waited because they wouldn't give it to him now. Here's George Paton talking about the confidence that he has in his first-year head coach, Nathaniel Hackett.
I believe in Nathaniel. I support Nathaniel 100%. He's been in this 7 games, as a head coach. The scrutiny he's faced is unprecedented. We've had 4 primetime games, so he's kind of had to learn in front of the entire world. But I really like how the team, he's kept the team together. They're connected. He's kept our building together. And I appreciate how he's fought through that.
And again, this is something you have to say because you're the guy that hired him. And when it's time to evaluate Nathaniel Hackett, maybe the Walmart moguls evaluate George Paton as well. Maybe they decide we didn't hire any of these people and we can afford their buyouts in the blink of an eye. We're going to go get our own GM and our own head coach. But Hackett, when you look at what these other first-year head coaches have done, and hey, Matt Eberflus should be on that board as well. We saw him do something Monday night, which was pretty impressive. Take 11 days to get ready, self-scout, prepare for the Patriots, and beat them by 19 points. Nathaniel Hackett stands out as the guy who's not getting it done. And, Peter, we've seen this. You've been covering the league longer than I have. Seen it time and again. Some offensive coordinators or defensive coordinators become good head coaches. Plenty more don't. And there's only one way to find out. You let them do it. And the question is, how many times do we have to spin the wheel to see that Hackett just doesn't have it? And I think, based on everything I've experienced covering the league for 20-plus years, I can just tell there's something missing there. He doesn't have it. And I know that they've got 4 primetime games, but still, I don't care. It's no different when you're in the stadium. You're still there. You're still making decisions with 70,000 people around you. I feel like he needs to be concerned about what the Walmart people are thinking because they didn't hire him and they could very easily move on to someone else. And George Paton's going to say what he said because he's the guy that hired him.
Mike, the two things that come to mind after, in this discussion, the Chicago Bears, as we approach the season's midpoint, have a better record than the Denver Broncos. That is slap in the face, stunning to me. Stunning. And the second thing that is kind of slap in the face, stunning, is that if you look at the way the Denver Broncos have played, if you are a great offensive, strategy person, then, and you see your quarterback is struggling, you need to figure out some alternatives. And Nathaniel Hackett, I think, has not been good at coming up with alternatives when your quarterback is struggling to make you better. And I just can't help but think there's two things that really bother me. One is when you saw the shots in the Amazon game, the Thursday night game, either at the start of overtime or early in overtime, of a crowd that was so fed up with what they've seen against the Indianapolis Colts that they were leaving. They were leaving the stadium in droves when the game was still on. When you're in overtime, they're leaving. Let's get home. I can't watch any more of this crap. And the second thing is, and look, I don't know what happens inside the team, but Melvin Gordon has been awful this year. Awful. And, he spoke up, I should be getting the ball or I should be starting. All this stuff. And so what does Nathaniel Hackett do? He announces Melvin Gordon as the starter that week. And look, I don't know what happens inside the team. I don't know why that decision was made. But it didn't strike me as a decision that was made for the best of the team. It struck me as a decision made by the head coach to put the fire out in a difficult issue when you have a better guy behind Melvin Gordon than Melvin Gordon. So I just get a bad feeling about this team.
Well, and we'll see what happens if they lose to the Jaguars on Sunday in London, what happens in the bye week for the Broncos and Nathaniel Hackett. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.